So this study from 2019 was one of the landmark studies looking at the role of positive childhood experiences and how they can support long-term mental health. I'm Gretchen Pianka. I'm going to go through the study very briefly so that you as a family can understand the findings and help you figure out how you can bring them to your own household to promote good mental health in everyone. So the study was done by Christina Bethel and a bunch of her colleagues back in 2019. And what they looked at were 7 different positive childhood experiences and compared how those positive childhood experiences affected long-term mental health outcomes when people were exposed to adversity as well. The data was collected in a 2015 telephone survey in Wisconsin. It was considered to be a representative sample, and it was part of an existing survey, the Behavioral Risk Factor Survey. There were 6,188 participants who spoke primarily English and Spanish. In the study, they reported adult mental health in relation to both adverse childhood experiences and positive childhood experiences. A lot of people are familiar with adverse childhood experiences. This is from the CDC's website, and the reference is there if you want to look at it for more information, but I would encourage you not to focus on this too much. We all have things that go a little sideways when we're raising kids. Many of these factors are completely and totally out of our control as parents. So all this is to say is that most people, when they are growing up, will experience some sort of adversity. Idyllic childhoods are just only happen in fairy tales, and even then, not that frequently. So we know these kinds of things happen, and most of us as parents are trying to do absolutely everything we can to keep them from happening to our kids, and we're doing the best we can in every moment. And these are the 7 positive childhood experiences. So feeling able to talk about your feelings with your family, feeling your family stood by you during difficult times, enjoying participating in community traditions, feeling a sense of belonging in high school, feeling supported by your friends, having 1 or 2 non-parent adults who took a genuine interest in them, and feeling safe and protected by an adult in their home. So this is what's exciting to me. This is what we do have some control over as parents. We can work towards allowing more of these positive childhood experiences into our family space by making a few subtle changes. And I'm going to show you the exciting findings from the study that show why this is important and worth your effort. So this is what they found in this study from 2019, with the lead author being Christina Bethel. They were looking at depression or poor mental health by report from adults. And if you look at this, the blue line were in people who reported no adverse childhood experiences. The orange line is in people who reported 1 adverse childhood experience. Gray line 2, yellow line, gray line is 2 to 3, yellow line is 4 to 8. And then underneath, you'll see the first column is people who didn't have very many protective positive childhood experiences, 0 to 2. The middle one is 3 to 5 positive childhood experiences, and the right-sided column is those who had 6 to 7 positive childhood experiences. So it's pretty clear to see that the impact of the adversity was mediated by the benefit, the buffering from the positive childhood experiences. So even if you have a lot of adverse childhood experiences, if you have a lot of positive childhood experiences, you're less likely to grow up and be an adult with poor mental health or depression. One of the other authors on this article is Robert Segi, and he is a physician at Tufts, and he developed this HOPE framework, which is healthy outcomes from positive experiences. That's how they came up with HOPE, which is catchy and pretty cool. And HOPE building blocks allows us to sort of conceptualize all of these protective positive experiences and kind of think about them all together. So the way he looked at this was he kind of broke it down. So out of those 7 positive childhood experiences, there are things like your environment. how you engage with your community, how you relate to others, and opportunities for emotional growth. So he uses these 4 building blocks, which if you want to look at this more, you can go to positiveexperience.org and review all sorts of cool materials that they have. But I like this model because I think it helps us to understand what we do have the ability to control, and some things we do and some things we don't. So, for example, let's say that number 1 on the positive childhood experiences scale is talking about your feelings with your family. Being able to talk about your feelings with your family helps you actually feel supported by your family when you're going through hard times. So those 2 positive childhood experiences together are intricately related. What can you do if your family doesn't talk about feelings? If you're kind of one of those families where like we only talk about happy feelings or good feelings, but you know that you don't talk about sad, angry, worried, scared, overwhelmed feelings with your family. Maybe it's just not part of your family culture. That's okay. This is one thing you can use, a tool you can use to start changing that. So we're pretty good at talking about things like feeling hungry or feeling cold or feeling tired, right? Because we know how to take care of ourselves with those feelings. But if you make one of these family feelings charts, you can make your own with pen and paper or with markers, or you can print this from my website. But a family feelings chart, you can put it on the fridge, and then somebody, whenever they notice that they're having a feeling, they make some sort of mark. So either a sticker or a star or a check mark, or you can just write a comment. I'm starving, I'm furious, I am sad today, something like that. So you just point out that you notice. So first you're identifying that you're having the feeling, and then this is a relatively easy way to start a conversation within the household. It doesn't mean that you have to walk up to your stressed spouse who's trying to rush out the door for work and explain that you're feeling worried. This gives you a way to kind of just document, yep, worried feeling, that's how I'm feeling. And then you can work on, what can I do? Like, what helps me when I feel worried? So that's kind of the next step. But the first step is just identifying the feelings, because if you don't identify the feelings, you may use either unhealthy coping strategies, suppress the feeling, or not use any coping strategies really at all and just end up yelling if you're angry, or your day can go sideways more quickly. So some of the other positive childhood experiences include that 2 or more non-parent adults in your child's life who really take an interest in them. Just be aware of that. There may be periods of time where you don't have that in your child's life, and that's okay. I like to think about it sort of like this diagram, where all these different building blocks are not going to be quite as strong at any one time. They're going to fluctuate because that's just the way life is. I think of it as the symphony of life, and all of these things are changing, and that's just a normal part of humaning. But just being aware that it really is important to have those non-parent adults in your child's life, whether it's coaches, the minister, teachers, extended family, aunties, uncles, neighbors, even the crossing guard, parents of your kids' friends, whoever that is. And then when things are hard, talk to your child about it. Let them know you have their back. That one of those 7 positive childhood experiences is feeling safe and protected by at least one adult in the home. So sometimes things go wonky. Maybe you're in a hurricane and a tree branch comes through the roof. You are going to make your child feel safe, right? You're going to say, it's okay, we're going to fix this, come stay in my room. Like, you've got their back. So no matter what's happening, make sure they know they're not alone and that you are there, right there with them, going through it. You want to hear about their feelings. You understand how to take care of big feelings, and you're not afraid of them. And again, a couple of the other positive childhood experiences, which can sometimes feel kind of out of reach for parents, especially when families are going through tough times, is feeling that sense of belonging in high school, specifically is what they asked. But it's just really important that your child grows up with a sense of belonging. So if school is not cutting it for them, helping them find their place where they belong. For some in the LGBTQ plus community, that actually ends up being an online community if there aren't very many other humans that they can really feel safe with and connect with in their town or in their school. So be aware, very aware of any online communities your children want to participate in, but understand that in some situations that actually might check off this belonging box for some kids, and it may be really important. Similarly, understand that crucial role that peer support plays. So feeling supported by your friends is one of the 7 positive childhood experiences. And just think, as parents, sometimes we sort of instinctually ground our kids or take away their phones when they've done something. Well, okay, so maybe they did that thing because they were having a big unmanageable feeling. They didn't know what to do with it. And then now they're in trouble. And then now they lose that crucial protective connection with their friends. Obviously, we're just trying to enforce the boundaries. But if you can think about a different way to enforce the boundaries that doesn't cause them to feel isolated, that may be even more beneficial for their long-term mental health. And another one is keeping up with traditions. So enjoying family or community traditions is important. And these can be micro traditions or macro traditions. I like to think of, little things like the book that you always read before they go to bed, or the song that you sing when you're brushing their teeth, or things like that are really good. Those are wonderful traditions for kids. And some traditions are more fluid and movable than others. There may be some that if your family was forced to move or had to leave a neighborhood or no longer lives as close to grandparents as you used to, there may be some traditions that you just can't maintain right now. But be creative and think it through and be like, we always used to have breakfast with grandma on Sundays. Maybe now we can Zoom grandma and we can all have, muffins together or something like that. So sometimes you can change an in-person tradition to a remote tradition if there are distance barriers. And same thing goes, like if you just haven't ever really thought of this as something that was crucial to maintain, thinking through, well, what are the kinds of things we'd like to do? What are the kinds of things that were important to us as a family? And when I've been working with families asking these questions, sometimes the kids will say one of their favorite traditions is just, going to IHOP on the weekend for breakfast, something like that, which you might not even think of as a real tradition. So ask your family, try to figure out what the kids like, and then try to figure out ways to maintain those traditions. So a couple more resources here. The number one thing is to remember that parenting is part of your life journey, which is going to involve growth and change. So don't be alarmed by that. And if you realize, wow, I really want to do one of these things and you're struggling, you can check out my Parenting Comfort Zone course. It's free. This is one of the diagrams from it. But basically, it's really hard to learn as a parent when you're having a really hard time or when things are just way too chaotic. So there's kind of a narrow lane where you can learn new things as a parent. So that course goes through that, helps you figure out how to find that lane and then what to do when you realize you're not in that lane, how to kind of clarify when when you're back there. Pretty much all of my resources are available on my website, and you can also follow me at Dr._Pianka on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok. And I hope you found this helpful. Make sure you don't forget to subscribe, and look forward to seeing you at the next update on how you can integrate modern research into your family culture to promote family mental wellness. Thanks a lot.